Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Really excited for this conversation. Um, what I love about the K16 Collaborative, and we'll do just a brief overview, is that this is a conversation about what's working, what's happening on the K-12 level, and I'm really excited to see so many folks from the CSU, from the community colleges, from our workforce development partners, and just around the county, interested in learning what's happening on the K-12 level and seeing what takeaways can be made for your own institutions, for your own systems. So with that in mind, we'll get into the aspects of the K16 collaborative that really speak to that regional collaboration. If you're not as familiar as many of us on the call that have been a part of the infrastructure for quite some time, the regional goal of the K16 collaborative aims to close racial and gender gaps in post-secondary attainment and employment by building equitable pathways to healthcare, engineering, and computer science careers. This is something that we've done across the region for the last 3 years with partners in our K-12 community college, CSU, UC, workforce development, and local government and employers. So we have a phenomenal group of folks working across the county in 5 distinct subregions, all working toward this goal and doing so in ways that really hit on how we build these occupational pathways in healthcare, engineering, and computer science. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. The objectives of our collaborative, if you're not familiar, increase college enrollment, degree completion, and the percentage of students employed in their field of study while eliminating racial disparities. That is our main goal. Our objectives: enhance and expand dual enrollment, articulated transfer, and work-based learning opportunities, meanwhile strengthening K-12 community college and university matriculation. Finally, our last objective and the way we've set up the collaborative, develop and support regional and sub-regional collaboration to strengthen problem-solving capacity. Next slide. One of our objectives, as you just saw, was around work-based learning. This is our second work-based learning community of practice, so we're excited to dive deeper into aspects of work-based learning. As we come into this conversation, we tend to ask ourselves, what is work-based learning? What does it look like when it's doing well? So after conversations with our colleagues from across the region, this is what we've come up with. Many of you who have been a part of our work-based learning communities practice in the past helped us come up with these definitions and work through our work through the iterations that we're working with. So work-based learning uses workplace and/or in-depth experiences that includes employer and community input to engage students and intentionally promote learnings that access to future education and career opportunities. It's defined by a number of elements, including alignment with classroom and workplace learning, application of academic, technical, and employable skills in the work setting, and support from classroom or workplace mentors. So really looking at the connection between curriculum, skills building, and employability, seeing how we can engage our employers in the system of curriculum development and teaching, and making sure students have opportunities to, one, earn and learn, but two, really have that experiential learning necessary to build the skills they need to be successful in their careers. Next slide, please. Throughout the course of our collaborative, we've worked with our partners to really engage in this work-based learning continuum. This is a model that has been championed by the Linked Learning Alliance across the state. Many of our K-12 partners in the room are a part of the Linked Learning Alliance. So we really focus on career awareness and career exploration into career preparation and career training. So what that means is we're learning about work, we're learning through work, and we're learning for work. In many cases, you'll see iterations of this happening at the K-12 level and the higher ed level, the K-12 level higher ed, internship, externship, apprenticeship level. In some cases, as we'll learn or hear about today, we see combinations happening all at K-12 level, all at community college level, and so on, to really get a fuller picture of the work-based or the workforce continuum for our students. And next slide, please. And finally, on our ideal of work-based learning, as we kind of continue through our objective, we just like to always throw data as best we can at folks. So why are we focusing on work-based learning in this region? We see that 25% of students at a four-year institution and 10% at two-year institutions only participate in paid internships, as we focus our work on earning and learning, as we focus our work on making sure our students are graduating into sustainable careers in the community sustaining wages. We want to make sure that there are those paid workforce opportunities, that there are those skills building opportunities for them to engage in. In that, few academic programs outside of technical skills programs, so those we think of as our technical degrees, require or offer experiential learning. So opportunities to hear from Dr. Lopez at Bravo today about what we're doing on the K-12 level, one that's not particularly associated with those technical degree earnings in the same way as community colleges or trade schools might be, is a great way to see how we can offer those experiential learning opportunities. So thank you for that brief overview. I want to pass it on to Rachel Antrobus at WestEd. Rachel has been a key collaborator in the K-16 Collaborative for the last few years to share just a bit of regional data and an opportunity to hear about some work happening across the country that relates to our collective actions. Rachel? Oh, Rachel, you're muted.
Thank you. Hi, all. I just wanted to kind of bring a couple of data elements in. For those that were able to join us last fall, we started to do some mapping work around the kind of outcomes that matter to you all. We know that each of your systems do their own respective data gathering, but we wanted to kind of keep data in mind as we move into these best practices that we're going to hear about today. We know around all the data, both locally and across the country, that work-based learning is doing some really interesting work around bridging economic education, economic mobility. We have some good literature that helps us understand that, but there's a lot we still don't know, and we all know for many reasons that exist in the field that we don't always know who's benefiting and what's more effective. So we want to just think about the kind of use cases that you all have for data tracking. It seemed like when we talked about this last fall that all of you are doing kind of different versions of this locally. We talked about different ways that maybe we could bridge those data elements together. The K-12 folks have the CCI data that they report into. It's a little less clear about the community colleges in 4-year because it goes usually by program. So we want to think about how we can track outcomes and equity and participation. And I wanted to just bring one study that I am finding interesting to the view today, so that you all can think a little bit about what we do know with some of this longitudinal data. So if you would change the slide for me, please, Matt. So Georgetown recently, their Center for Educational Workforce developed a model that identified 10 interventions that they were seeing significant improvement to landing a good job by age 30. I'm going to put the report in the deck, in the chat in just a moment, but it'll define for you the how they defined a good job, et cetera, and also the data sources. They used data from the BLS and then the National Longitudinal Survey of Youth for a good chunk of years. They went from 97 to 2015, and they identified the things that they were noticing in that data that made a difference for different groups of people. So when I show you the report as well as the data tool that they built, you can see the kind of differences that they're describing. When they thought about this growth, they were thinking about annual earnings from 38,000 per year to a median at 57 by age 37. Sorry, 57,000 by age 30. So that's the definition here. So you're going to see two here that are on the dashboard. If you were to open the dashboard and see later, there are two that I thought we could just look at together and think about together, which is that students, Latino students that were entering a bachelor's program and completing by age 22, they were seeing a significant growth, over 20% growth for Latino students that did that thing. We know that's a very big thing, but they were seeing the trend lines be very clear about the students that were able to do that, that entered by 22 were able to get that outcome of economic mobility with a good job by 30. There's also another data element that they included with completing a bachelor's degree by 26. These all might sound like very small parts of this greater whole, but when they're seeing statistically relevant trend lines, they're looking at a very big data set. So these are things that we want to keep in mind. There's a bunch of different ones in the data tool that you'll see. one of the ones that I thought you would find interesting would be the next one, which is the next slide, Matt. This one is about making sure that we think about not a one size fits all. Sometimes when we think about a good intervention, we think about it being good equally across the board for all students. And this is a really good example of this not being true for all groups. So for instance, the one around students that are in CTE in high school, you can see the growth for Latino and Black students are much smaller, but much larger for white students. There's a lot of reasons why this is probably happening at all kinds of levels. But in this regard, you can see how big the growth is for white students. This is not seen, most of these, you'll see the benchmarks are actually much wider for white students. So when we're thinking about interventions, it's just something to keep in mind. It's not all good for all students, and it doesn't always show up as far as an economic mobility in the long run. So yes, thank you. So a few things that we talked about a little bit last time, but I want to bring up in front of us again is thinking about how we can track data by race and ethnicity, gender, and income. These are the kind of ways that we can kind of offset the things that I just showed you in the last slide, which is that if we know who we're serving, we can see the kind of outcomes that they're getting. There is across all student groups, there was a growth for students that were in STEM placements that were higher as far as their outcomes for a good job at 30. So it's also something to keep in mind. We want more STEM placements. It was showing kind of regardless of background being a good intervention. And then the other piece is about making sure that we can get access to some of those outcomes we want after the program. This is a very difficult thing that we all know is challenging to find, especially the wage files that we know could help us understand. But those are the kind of data elements that we can make a good case for why this is important to invest in. We also, as we will talk a little bit more about in terms of the pathways that are in high demand, we're going to talk about the health pathway here today. We want to make sure that we're matching those growth areas. So that also means that we're looking at the labor market data to understand where we have areas of growth and not just thinking them as being equal in terms of work-based learning placements being valuable regardless of where they're being placed. We also are finding that there are some really important things around infrastructure when people have the kind of data that we're talking about. And this is something that we're all, I'm sure, growing in our respective institutions and sectors, but we are seeing that there's lines between staff roles that are actually tied to those goals. We have all been in places where we don't have anyone that actually has the job of doing any data monitoring or tracking employer engagement. It's hard to raise money for some of these roles, but that's a really important infrastructure element. We also want to have the ability to track outcomes that are longitudinal. We're all hoping that C2C will come online. We'll be able to see a lot more of this in the next few years in California with that element. And then also that there are some very strong partnerships across the community college employers and organizations. So making sure that we can invest in those that will actually tell us a longer view of what is needed in our community in terms of workforce. And obviously we know that work-based learning does not work without support. So that's also something that we have to keep in mind when we're building structures that'll actually help us build those evidence-based practices. I think there's just one more in mind, just to sum up. So we want to make sure that we are working towards building systems that can track who participates, measuring what works in terms of the interventions, and ensuring equity through those mappings of data. And then we always want to think about the data that can help us advocate for resources. We know that work-based learning is a fairly expensive intervention. It also, if we can show how much it's making a difference in students' lives, it'll be a much easier sell to policymakers and in funding streams. And we also want to look at the placement quality of work-based learning and trying to understand the outcomes related to those placements. And obviously, we want to keep in mind our priority populations, the ones that can most be most impacted by these very high impact practices. And those are our BIPOC students and low income students. So I said a lot. but I'll leave these questions with you all. But definitely want to think about how we can keep data elements in front of you all to make sure that we're building out equitable systems. We heard a little bit about what's difficult for you all moving forward, and happy to share the kind of the documents that you all developed last fall, if that's of interest to you. But we basically looked at all the places that you all were seeing outcomes that were related to work-based learning. And there's a lot of really interesting things that we can do from there, but want to leave the time to our esteemed speakers.
We do have some time, so if anyone does have questions for Rachel or want to engage in this discussion, we certainly can. Carrie, your hand was up before I even got there. Go for it.
I had a clarifying question because I felt like there was a good point in there, Rachel, that I wanted to make sure that everyone heard. When you were talking about the research around placement quality, can you just top line again, like what did the research report say about the link between work-based learning placement quality and then the impact on student outcomes?
We didn't have a lot about the programmatic pieces. It was about the sectors and the high demand jobs that are related to the placements. So for instance, if you had a STEM placement, you were more likely to have that outcome that we talked about in terms of the good job by 30. So the piece being that one of the pieces I would say is probably affecting some of this data, being that we know all of these things are connected, is that if we don't put priority populations in those higher demand placements and with the quality attached to that demand, that we would obviously see less students being exposed to those sectors. So the primary thrust of this report was about the placement related to its economic mobility prospects moving forward.
The placement is an internship, or what is that?
Placement meaning work-based learning placement.
A work-based learning placement.
Okay. Any other thoughts or questions? Anybody doing some work around data collection around work-based learning that you think we should all be aware of? This is a hard nut to crack. So as you all are figuring this out, we'd love to hear about what's working for you all, because the data collection has been a longstanding challenge, not just in the LA region, but across the country. If there's nothing else, I'll hand it back to you all. Adam, am I handing it to you?
I'll take that and hand it to Andrew. Here's Dr. Lopez.
Great.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much, Rachel, for that really insightful data walk. We're now going to turn our attention over to Dr. Luis Lopez, principal from Bravo Medical Magnet, to share his insights from his high school. Dr. Lopez?
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you for having me share with you today. As I was listening, I was actually learning quite a bit and feeling reassured that we are in the right direction. And, we are one of many programs in the Los Angeles Unified School District. But we have seen some success as of recent, and I think it's because we have become a lot more focused. And so I'd like to share with a little bit of history of our school. This current building was opened back in 1990. Our current enrollment is 1442. We were at one time or another, maybe 2 years ago, we were the second largest comprehensive high school in the east side of Los Angeles, only smaller than Garfield High School. So historically, we've had some of the largest high schools in the east side, Bell High School, Roosevelt High School, Wilson, Franklin, quite large high schools. At one time or another, we became only second to Garfield High School. We are one building school. In the years since I've been here, this is my 8th year as a school principal at Bravo, we were operating with a overcrowded over our capacity by about 400 students. Since then, our enrollment was much higher than 1442. But since then, our enrollment has decreased, but for many different reasons, and I'll go over some of the reasons later on if we have some time. But We still have a wait list of about 600 students, between 500 and 600 students every year. So our school is in high demand. Our program is in high demand. So our drop in enrollment is not because we're losing interest, but because of other variables that I can go in more detail later on. But I'd like to bring your attention, if we can stay in that first slide, your attention to our mission statement. And that is, our mission and vision statement looks pretty much the same as most high schools, but we do have this one phrase that says for post-secondary in our mission statement, secondary education, and to provide them with opportunities to explore the health professions while fostering an environment of inquiry and learning. So back 7-8 years ago, we were struggling a little bit with our linked learning based CTE programs. And it was, I think, because we lost a little bit of the focus on what we really wanted to do with our students. We were able to come back to that statement and said, if we really mean all students, and if we really want to fulfill our mission and vision statements, then we need to stray true to that. And so we made an effort with the help of Linked Learning Department in our district and the Linked Learning Alliance in general. We were able to bring back some focus to our school. Not that we were, scrambling, but we were finding more reasons to not do things and more reasons to stay focused and to continue to do the work. And I don't blame anyone. Being a school in LA Unified, we have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of demands from our district that go beyond the work-based learning programs, right? Our comprehensive high school programs are important too. So not only do we need to fulfill all of the requirements of any other community high school, but we wanted to make an effort to come back or to be true to our mission. Now we can go back to or to the next slide. What I'm going to share with you is the first thing we wanted to do is be clear as to what we wanted to do. What is it that we wanted to do and how are we going to do it? So we do have these four pathways that we wanted to offer to our students. And then we had other opportunities. The fourth pathway actually didn't come to fruition until a year ago. But our patient care pathway has been one of the strongest programs that we've had. We've had a biotechnology pathway since I was a teacher here back in 1990 when the school first opened. We added a Sistema, which is not a CTE program, a pathway, but it's also health related. We also had a pretty strong not linked learning certified public and community health pathway. And we added the mental wellness peer counseling program about a year ago. And then we have other programs that are health related that are available to students who are not choosing to go into one of these pathways. So you can see the description for each of the pathways, and we identified for students. So we offered this graphic to our parents and our students. What are some possible careers that you can find from these pathways? So again, the idea is let's bring awareness to all of our community members, including our staff, by the way, because some of our staff, it's easy to become a silo when you're a math teacher and you're just worried about math standards, right? We wanted our math teachers to know exactly what was going on. We wanted our counselors to know what's going on. We wanted everyone in the staff to know what are the pathways and what are the kinds of things that we're striving for. And so what possible careers? And then we began to list the classes, the courses that students would need to take at each grade level. Before all of this, though, before we present them with this, we bring all our incoming ninth graders to a summer bridge program, a 2-week summer bridge program. And this is thanks to our linked learning support. And we teach them all about our school, including the comprehensive part, but mainly the career tech ed pathways and what they can do and what are some of the basic skills and requirements. What are the expectations academically, behaviorally, and so on and so forth? What are the courses they're going to take? So this summer bridge program is really the beginning of the awareness part. I feel like we really do the career awareness part at that time in the ninth grade. In pre-ninth grade, because when they start with us, the health class becomes a key part. All of our ninth graders take health, and that is where they go a little deeper into each of the pathways. They learn what are the academic requirements, again, potential jobs, potential extracurricular activities they can be part of. What are some of the partnerships, internships, externships, all the potential activities and tasks that they can be part of in the ninth grade. And also the biology course is cohorted with them. So they are cohorted in those two courses in the ninth grade. In the 10th grade, it becomes more general, and only the bio is where we continue to do the exploration. And so each actually pathway begins at a different time. I'll share with you what where each of them starts later, but the ninth grade is really the key part, because that's when we teach them. In the 10th grade, they begin to choose what pathway they want to join. They can either start in the 10th grade or they can start in the 11th grade. There's a couple of them that start, there's one that starts in the senior year. So they begin to make choices after the ninth grade. But again, they will know what to expect. If we go to the next part, you can see that the programs for all of our students, the requirements for each of the pathways are already listed there. So we're clear as to, this is what we expect from you. This is what we're going to do for you. This is who's going to be there to help you. We do have a system in place where I have a linked learning coordinator and a data coordinator who work together to not only help me as strengthen relationships that we begin, but also to keep track, to find ways to create space and time for teams, for faculty teams to continue the work of beginning collaboration in the ninth grade, 10th grade with each of the teams. So the teams meet together on a regular basis to track student progress, to plan curriculum, to plan assessment activities, to check back and assess progress, to stay connected with that linked learning support systems, to find additional potential relationships that we can have. I see Joanna is here, and she can share with you that some of our students get the opportunity to do internships during the summer. During the regular school year, we've had partnerships with multiple agencies and universities, including Caltech, Occidental, and several other opportunities where students get the opportunity to do internships and during the summer and during the school year. So you can see the progression of schoolwork that students have to complete. It was very clear to me from the beginning that we needed to have a clear sense of what it is that we're doing, and that we needed to communicate that with the rest of the staff, and to make some commitments, like making sure that we have a linked learning coordinator, a data coordinator, and that we would cohort. It seemed to us that one of the biggest challenges we had was the ability to cohort groups, which is key to our progress. We were sort of at one time or another making excuses. Well, it's too difficult. Well, it gets on the way of AP options. It gets on the way of other electives that students want to take. It gets on the way of this. It gets on the way of that. But it really, and it does. I mean, it is difficult to create a master where you have all these options, right? But we found that it's not impossible. So if we wanted it, we were able to make some decisions and really stay true to that. And we were able to become gold certified with our patient care pathway a couple of years ago. And we're now going for our public and community health pathway certification. So we've made some good progress. If we can go to the next slide, I can share with you what the pathways are, the CTE pathways. So you can go ahead to the next one. So the biotechnology pathway starts in the 11th grade, and our students go to research labs at USC, and they actually collaborate and work with researchers at USC. So some of our students are looking at ways to combat cancer, cures, Parkinson's, all sorts of research opportunities. Our students are actually in the lab working with researchers, and then they present their work here at Bravo to professionals. The patient care starts in the 10th grade, and seniors go to also to the hospital, and they work in different settings in patient in care, intake, different sections of the hospital, both at the USC hospital and at the LA hospital, LA General Hospital. Public and community health starts in the 12th grade. Peer counseling is our newest one. We work with the Wellness Center. So all of these relationships, all of these partnerships needed to be not only monitored and supported, but to be evaluated, and to it's beyond just the institutional relationships. It's the personal relationships that we've had to make with some of the staff members at the hospital, at the university, to make sure that we were able to find solutions to problems. For example, the ability to design MOUs. Our district is quite difficult with MOU process protocols. Approving those is very, very difficult. And each of the institutions wants to be protected legally and to minimize liability. So the negotiations between LA Unified and our different partners are ongoing. They're revisited, and it takes quite a bit. And so quite a bit of not just time and effort, but also personnel time here at Bravo, and those are the big picture barriers. But there are also smaller, or not smaller, but more on-site kind of issues, such as what happens when a student finds, or in the intake department at the hospital, what if they are assaulted? What if they are, how do we solve these problems? How do we solve these concerns, right? So we have to be in constant communication with members of the staff at the different institutions, and be clear as to what our policies are for reporting, for solving issues, for finding resources, and so on and so forth. Part of what the reason is why we're losing enrollment is, as I mentioned, we're a one building school, and we have been operating over our capacity by about 400 students for the last 5 years. So we have to open a satellite location actually down the street at the occupational center. But we're losing that, and so now we don't have the space to be able to expand. We don't have the space to be able to open the labs that we want to open for the different programs that we have, for the different courses that we have. And so instead of increasing or using the demand that we have, we're going to decrease supply. And so they're lowering our enrollment ability, which I think is I'm completely opposed to, because if we have a program in demand that is clearly successful, why not open it up to more students? But instead, we're going to decrease the enrollment. And I'm now taking this is a political statement, and so I hope I think a highly successful program needs to be open to more students rather than not. So we're decreasing the supply, the opening spaces because of that. If we go to the next slide, if I can share a little bit about who our partners are. So these are some of our partners. And again, it takes quite a bit to not just open a relationship, a partnership, but to maintain the partnership. And so we have to have a dedicated person. And in my case, I am grateful that I was able to dedicate 2 different people who are in constant communication with the staff members at each of these institutions to address concerns, to address potential opportunities, When we had students take internship opportunities at LA Hospital, Joanna worked quite a bit with one of my staff members, Dr. Sinclair, to make sure that, you know, all the legalities, all of the issues that, all of the requirements that they had, we were able to meet. One of the requirements, one of the roadblocks that we had is about 90%, 92% of our students are of Latino descent, and some of them don't have documentation. Their immigrant situation is not, they don't have the documents. And so the hospital was not able to take in some of our students because of that, of their status. And so we've had to find ways around it to make sure that it was equitable, that students that were interested that would be able to join and be part of those programs. Fortunately, we found some creative ways to do it with the help of our supervisor, Hilda Solis, and the president, the CEO of the hospital. And so multiple partners that came together, and we were able to find that kind of a solution. Very, very important for us that if we were going to invite our students to join one of these pathways and with potential benefits, that they actually had access to those, or that we were upfront and say, hey, we won't be able to do it unless you have this from the beginning. And so to us, that was not acceptable. And again, thanks to the flexibility of our partners, and it varies, right? Even by USC Health Sciences Campus is very different organization than Keck Hospital of USC, with different leadership, different requirements. During COVID, USC Keck Hospital stopped our partnership, our ability to bring students to the hospital because of safety issues, whereas the LA General Medical Center opened up their doors for us, and we were able to start with them. Now that COVID is gone, Keck invited us back again, and so now we have two. So for us, it was kind of a win-win situation. But again, it was this intent, this effort to continue the work and stay true to the work, and to continue to find opportunities for our students. If we go to the next slide, actually, what we do multiple things to do the exploration, the awareness piece. We do guest speakers, field trips, job shadowing, workplace visits, internships, mentorships. We do have some of our pathways that end with certifications for our students. My goal is to have as many certifications at the end of each pathway as possible. We have job training and preparation, mock interviews, resumes with professionals helping us to assess some of these, to evaluate some of these. And we also partner with East LA Community College for doing enrollment opportunities and for potential collaboration in some of the pathways. We've been working to try and open a nurses assistant program. That's proving to be a little bit more difficult, but that's still one of our goals, to open that program. There are many other things that we can talk about that I can share with you, but I would rather open up for questions. Maybe that would help instead.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lopez. And yes, we'd love to open up the floor to folks to open question.
Dr. Best, if you don't mind, I know you had mentioned that you had some suggestions for other pathways. I'd love to hear from you as to what you're thinking, and maybe how some of that integration between our CSUs and Bravo can drum up some work.
Of course, and you know that I am biased and I'm thinking about the programs that we offer in health and human development at CSUN. But, you know, we do have amazing careers in environmental and occupational health. And that's not one of the things that I saw jumping out at me. We have communication disorders and sciences. I saw the public health, I saw health administration, even though it's not necessarily called health administration on your slide. But those are some of the areas. We have physical therapy, which to practice physical therapy, you now need a doctorate. And so students may not be thinking about doing a doctoral program in high school, but if they're thinking about becoming physical therapists, they have to think about the path to get there. I am just very, very happy to see this information and to hear from you about the work that you're doing. And I'm, of course, thinking about how we can get some of these students coming to CSUN. And so I do have a question, which is not about your process or your implementation, but about where your students go after they leave you. So where are they going to continue that healthcare education and build those healthcare careers that we're talking about?
So that's one of the areas of growth for us, I think, is our tracking of our students for post-secondary opportunities. That has proven to be a little bit more difficult because it requires some investment, if you will. We do use some of the already existing systems, but that comes somewhat after the fact. So surveys, we try to have self-reporting surveys from our students. That they are not always very accurate, but a lot of our students do go to Cal State LA only because of the vicinity, the proximity to our school site. Cal State LA, USC, and UCLA. UCSD also attracts quite a bit of our students. So we had 25 of our students from last senior class get accepted, and 20 of them chose to go to UCSD. So those are the main campuses that we have relationships with and can keep the numbers for. All the other ones really are self-reported. We do have students accepted everywhere, like all high schools, but the majority of our students do go to Cal State LA, USC, UCLA, and UCSD.
That is good to know. Thank you. I'm not even sure if your high school is in our region, but I will certainly be investigating because, even as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about our environmental and occupational health career path. We're one of the only CSUs that offer that program. Our radiologic sciences, one of the only ones, and we are getting ready to introduce a new degree in sonography, which we know will have high demand, but the kinds of programs that we're offering in my college certainly connect very, very well with your students and what they're interested in. So I would love to connect with you at some point after this so we can talk.
Definitely, definitely. There was another question in the chat, and that is, how do you handle student transportation to and from hospitals? So Bravo was strategically built right next to all these institutions. So we're right across the street from LA General Hospital, right across the street from, so you can literally see them all from our windows. Our students walk to these locations. And so we have their instructors walk with them to and from. I myself have walked with groups to and from the locations. So the proximity helps quite a bit. One of the reasons why the nursing assistant program has proven to be more difficult is there's an hour of requirement of work on the site. And the partners that we were looking at are farther away from us. So we weren't able to secure transportation for that, but that's one of the roadblocks, if you will. But all the other ones are here next to us.
Harry, I know you had a question in the chat as well about engaging parents.
Yeah, actually a follow-up from what Michelle's was speaking to on the slide where you talked about the occupations for the different pathways. Are you also sharing like what are the post-secondary education and training requirements for those occupations?
Yes, so the end of the semester project for the 9th graders is for them to research institutions where potential programs they're interested in are offered and to find out what the requirements are. So the courses, the different requirements that they would have. And so, yeah, that is part of the first semester learning in the health class. The second semester becomes a little bit more of be specific about what career or profession you want to do. So surgeon, whatever. But the first one is about the institutions where the programs are offered.
Great. And so the student themselves are doing that research.
Mm.
Is there anything that's shared back with like parents and families?
Yeah, so actually their project is presented to their parents and the community. And so it's a fair basically. So they present their project, they stand by their project. Parents are invited, professionals from the different hospitals or the different institutions come and we assess. So it's sort of a science fair feel to it. Yeah.
Very cool. One of the roles or perceived roles from the state for the K-16 collaborative is to help students, middle and high school students, understand the pathway and all the pathways available in a certain sector in LA County. And so I'm wondering, are there any gaps? Is there any resources or information that the K-16 collaborative could support in developing that would I guess make it easier for students to understand what that post-secondary education training roadmap looks like to different careers and then the career ladder?
Yes, we do have a survey, and grade level surveys that are supposed to track their progress, and part of that is precisely finding ways or finding universities and matching them to the universities where their programs are offered that they showed interest in, or that they have skill in, or that they have part of the survey identifies what they're leaning towards. And so it's supposed to match them with universities. And we do have a college advisor who then takes that information and tries to make connections with the universities that are being matched to students. Obviously, we cannot find all of them, but we do have that survey that the college advisor uses to try and find representatives to come and visit our school to talk to our students during both the school year and a college and career fair that we have. And we also plan, during this next week, they're going to visit, it's our spring break, but 35 students are going to visit 10 colleges and universities in California on a trip. So we do try to match them according to the surveys that we use at each grade level. But well, I can't think of anything right now. I think that maybe I know that not all of our students are being served. So only 35 students are going to those college visits. I know that not all of our students are getting that kind of benefit, only the self-selected students. So I'm wondering, maybe during our college and career fair, I don't know, but we do host one here on campus as well. I can't think of anything at this point specifically tangible that I can identify.
Okay, you can sleep on it. If you could
Yes.
wave a magic wand,
Mhm.
better partnerships with colleges or increase better partnerships with employers. Think about it. We would love to hear.
Okay.
I think we have time for one more question. I know one came in that I'm happy to ask, but also happy to open the floor to anyone else if they have a question for Dr. Lopez. Susie, the alum of Bravo. I'm going to give it to you for that question if you want to ask it out loud.
I think what percentage of students are participating in the pathways programs? That's a great question, and that's an area of growth for us. I would say only about 30% of our students are participating in the pathways. Sometimes we think that because we expose them all in the 9th and 10th grade that to the careers and the different opportunities, that's enough. But I think that we can do a little bit better. So only about 30% of our students are participating in the pathways. And the application process is basically the counselors meet with each of our students individually, in groups and individually, and they plan out their high school program as much as possible. And all they have to do is show interest and commitment, because that may, if you go into the pathway, that may mean that you may not be able to play baseball, you may not be able to play basketball, you may not be able to do these other programs that we offer. You may be able to do it if we are a little bit creative, if we do summer school work somewhere along the line, so that you can open up more space in your daily schedule, which we do offer, by the way, and that's part of the dual enrollment opportunities that we have, and summer school opportunities that we have, both for intervention, credit recovery, and advancement. And so we're able to do that here because we invest in that advancement program. The district only offers credit recovery, but we're able to offer advancement so that we can have more students with more spaces to take the pathways and not worry about not being part of the basketball team or the volleyball team, and so on and so forth. So about 30%, and all they have to do is show interest and commitment. I think that, I hope that answered that question.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
And you did mention not having the data on post-secondary enrollment, and I was wondering, because I know LUSD actually does pay for National Student Clearinghouse data.
Yeah.
So they have that data. Do they share that with you, or is what they're able to share not useful?
You know, that data is actually not available to me. Yeah. That's what I was thinking about. And, when I see it, it's because it was shared in some other meeting somewhere. And after the fact, it's not regularly shared to me. At least. Mm-hmm.
Something for me to think about for a follow-up conversation with the A to G.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do with that data if you had it? Because it is about a year delayed, unfortunately. So it would be about your, for the previous class. What would you do with that data?
So what I would do is I would look at the rate of success, meaning completion rates for students. How many students are actually who are entering in those programs are actually completing, or if there's make connections or relationships with the universities or institutions that are getting our students, and do they feel that they're coming in prepared? Are they having to do recovery programs and not start right away? What potential partnerships we can do? What can we offer that will guarantee their success in their program? If they have, if not only if I know, for instance, that I don't know, Cal State Long Beach is getting good 20% of our students. I want to know how they're doing. I want to know how they're tracking them. I want to know if they think that we're preparing them successfully. I want to know if they're continuing with their interests, career and professional wise there, if they have the programs that they were interested in. And so I would want to connect with those institutions and their leadership to figure out ways in which we can synchronize our efforts and not undermine each other, if you will.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lopez. In the interest of time, we would love to now pivot. Thank you so much for sharing your insights from Bravo Medical Magnet School. We will follow up with you with more questions. Now we'd love to pass the ball over to Raina Flores-Hanson from the LA County Office of Education to share a few more opportunities and a few more learnings in implementing this work. Raina?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And that, you're a hard act to follow, Dr. Lopez. I will say that administration at the high school level was probably the funnest job I ever had. I've never worked so hard in my life, but it was It was so rewarding. And I was wondering if the kids like walk around in scrubs or anything like that. So, because I could just see it in my head, how wonderful that is to see students with purpose, and how exciting it must be to see them. So that was just a wonderful presentation. I really appreciate it. And I lived vicariously through you for a moment. So everyone, good afternoon. I'm Reina Flores Hansen, the director for the Los Angeles County Office of Ed here at our CTE unit, and I'm honored to be joining you today for this session. I'm going to share how LACO is working to scale equitable, high-impact work-based learning experiences for students like we just heard about. My purpose today, though, is to provide an overview of how LACO CTE aims to be a hub of collaboration, linking LEAs, post-secondary institutions, workforce partners, and service for our student success. Next slide, please. So LACO scaling strategies. Here at LACO, we're deeply committed to not just piloting strong practices, but scaling them with intention. Our approach to expansion is grounded in strategy, equity, and long-term sustainability. Let's begin with capacity building. We believe that transformation starts with people. Then we move on to systems alignment, and that's scaling. It doesn't happen in isolation. We're working to connect the dots across our LEAs and community colleges and workforce development agencies so students can move smoothly from a classroom that incorporated the work-based learning like we were just hearing about. Then there's our equity framework, which drives everything we do. Scaling only matters if it reaches the students who have been historically underserved, like I heard Rachel talk about. That was really an interesting statement there. We also ground our work in policy alignment and leveraging. Our strategies are intentionally tied to key state initiatives like the Golden State Pathways program, our college and career access pathways, K-12 strong workforce, Perkins 5, and CTIG, just to name a few. And how are we aligning these policies? And are we able to consider how we can grade our funding to maximize it? And finally, we are strong advocates of sustaining funding and simplifying reporting. To scale successful districts, they need to know what their resources are and have some clarity in expectations. So in short, LACO scaling strategies are about building people, aligning systems, centering equity, and leveraging policy to ensure every student in every district has access to that future-ready education. Next slide, please. Thank you. That was good. How are we going to do this? Well, CTE, our CTE unit here at LACO is composed of 4 primary focused areas, and it's under one CTE umbrella. We have the Golden State Pathways, we are the Regional Technical Assistance Center, our dual enrollment initiatives, CTE credentialing, and apprenticeship and registered pre-apprenticeship programs. So I'm going to talk about how we're tying this all together. Next slide, please. So let me introduce to you the team. Now, when I first started, Adam knows that it was it was just a few. It was just myself and Dr. Newton and a couple other individuals. Well, now we've expanded. So together, I'm going to start just kind of give you an quick introduction of the team. We have Irene Riffalato, our project director for the Golden State Pathways program. Kim Patterson, she's our coordinator for dual enrollment, and she's working hand in hand with Dr. Gina Newton, which most of us already know. We have a newcomer, Anthony Breedy. He's the coordinator for program development and implementation. And then Linda Skipper, our coordinator for credentials and apprenticeship. Each of us lead and follow under the CTE umbrella. We're ensuring that all these areas are focused and sustainable. And I'm going to explain a little bit of how our team comes together. This slide outlines the key services and deliverables offered through our team. Each of these elements is designed to build capacity at the local level. And I'm going to explain our separate focus and then how we all come together. Next slide, please. Let's start with the Golden State Pathways program. Our GSPP is a transformative funding program that supports seamless pathways through K-12, college, and into high growth careers. It's about equity, readiness, and relevance. And everybody's been hearing about the GSPP for a while now, and it's finally coming together. Next slide, please. The charge for the Regional Technical Assistance Center, or RTAC, is in a nutshell, is to ensure alignment with state frameworks and outcomes, to promote equity and access, to build local and regional sustainability, to improve student outcomes in areas like dual enrollment, work-based learning, and integrated student supports. Next slide, please. The scope of the work revolves around work-based learning, and which means we will be providing these services: technical assistance, capacity building, professional development. And I heard someone talking about linked learning. We're working directly with them in career ladders. We're looking at developing and sharing a work-based learning resource directory that we've established on the Canvas learning management system. And just like today, a virtual work-based learning focused community practice, data collection, which you've been hearing about. I've been hearing everybody struggling with the same type of data and how we're reporting out, and connecting with partners. And I think that's what I primarily want to do today, because in fact, we did host a session with a few friends, Greater LA, Career Ladders, Unite LA, and they called it Building Camaraderie. It was a virtual gathering that brought partners together to explore our strengths, opportunities, and areas of alignment. The intention was just real clear. Once we understand the unique offerings each organization is able to bring to the table, we can better promote one another, we can align with our efforts, and collectively serve a greater number of students. You know, someone serving 5, someone serving 100. How do we all come together? So I am kind of lobbying in that direction. Next slide, please. So for the Golden State Pathways, if you have any questions, we do have office hours on Monday from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. It's one-on-one. Obviously, you can call us anytime, but that is some dedicated office hour time. Next slide, please. Moving to dual enrollment. Dr. Gina Newton and Kim Patterson, they're a team that's on fire. Dual enrollment at the forefront. Next slide, please. So dual enrollment is a powerful lever in preparing students for meaningful work-based learning experiences and future careers. Let's look at how these two strategies, dual enrollment and work-based learning, are deeply interconnected. When we think of dual enrollment, we know that we're offering CTE-aligned college courses connected to our industry sectors. We know that dual enrollment can serve as a preparation step for those internships, apprenticeships, and job shadowing. And the biggest part is when we look at our courses and we're planning them out and intentional, when the sequence of courses come together for a student, it leads them in building those strengths that are needed in the workforce. And it gives them an upper leg on getting that job when they're finally there. Let me give you an example. I love that we're talking about the health environment, because that was my actual example. You know, how a student's in a health science pathway, for example, and how they're taking a college anatomy or a medical terminology class in college, and that fosters their skills. So when they go to that interview and they need a hospital internship, they already have those connections, and it just builds on their ability to get that workability, get that extra experience that they need to understand which one of these areas in healthcare they might want to do. Because let's face it, in healthcare, any skill can be used. It's almost a little city in our hospitals, and everyone is needed. It's nice to feel needed, especially when you are really interested in it. So our office hours for dual enrollment, if you have any other questions, are Wednesday from 3 to 4 p.m. Next slide, please. As we expand access to high quality career pathways across Los Angeles County, it's essential that we also build an educator pipeline to support them. That's where our designated subject CTE credential program comes in. What is a CTE credential program? Exactly. It's a program that is designed to credential industry professionals and existing educators to teach in high school program classes across California. It recognizes the value of real-world experience professionals and provides a streamlined pathway for individuals to bring that expertise to the classroom. And those classroom experiences or the skills that they'll build, a good teacher is able to foster and work and assist students so that they'll have these skills into the workforce. Good teachers, prepared teachers really make a difference. Next slide, please. So we've been busy around here. Just our applications this year and processed credentials from July to December of last year, we processed 1,137 credentials. That's how many teachers went into the classroom. And we worked with 2,615 other candidates that I'm sure are credentialed now, all ready for the workforce and to build our CTE pathways. Next slide, please. Please, if you have any questions on designated subject programs, or you're thinking of someone that, wow, they would be a great teacher and they're in engineering, or they're in healthcare, they're in teaching, please have them give us a call. Let's see what we can do for them. They might have a CTE credentials and a whole new career for them. Next slide, please. Our apprenticeship programs. Linda Skipper also oversees the apprenticeship program sponsors. Now I'm talking about, I think just one slide back. I'm talking about, in this case, okay, one forward. In this case, we are the LEA for these 6 different apprenticeship programs. These are adult programs, electricians, you see the roofers and water roofing and proofing, nursing technologies. These are the ones we are the LEAs for, and we get to see. In fact, we had a symposium at ETI last year. Next slide, please. Last year, we saw that registered apprentice programs, they served 2,367 students and are now out of apprenticeship programs and into the workforce. And they did a whopping 217,798 apprenticeship hours, getting those skills, being a better professional. Next slide, please. In collaboration with the Department of Apprenticeship Standards, we intend to start the same pathway for students, but not as adults, but as high schools. Therefore, we're maintaining a how-to handbook for LEAs to apply for the registered pre-apprenticeship programs. Inside this little manual, you're going to find information about the program components, compliance, and how-to steps for your LEAs. Next slide, please. Now, bringing it all together, the catalyst that brings our pieces all together today is Anthony Breedy, our coordinator of program development and implementation. He's building with the help of all his colleagues here, he's building our work-based directory. Now, I don't know if I have enough time, but this is our CTE webpage, and it links into our Canvas page, and every one of those buttons will be able to lead you to areas that I just talked about, apprenticeship, credentials. And you also see there on the far right-hand side, work-based learning directory. So it's already started and it's very exciting. I'm gonna go ahead and if we have any time, I can show you it, but for now, I'll go ahead and move forward. So what do I want to do? I want to invite you to our next big symposium, our annual symposium, where there'll be 2 primary co-presentations, one in apprenticeship with the Department of Apprenticeship Standards, and one in dual enrollments, where they're going to actually be working with Cerritos College dual enrollment. We also are looking at the ABC school district and how they matriculate through the system in these powerful career pathways. So another place to ask questions. We're also featuring keynote speakers like Dr. Jose Fierro, Nubia Renteria, who's a chef at Good Old Disney, and Sasha Leonardo, the newest director of Ed Partnerships and Programs in Cerritos College. So I really hope you can join us. Next slide. So finally, in closing, we are strong advocates for sustaining funding and simplifying reporting, because to scale successfully, LEAs need predictable resources and clear expectation. The LACO's scaling strategies reflect this through capacity building, system alignment, equity-centered approaches that ensure every student is prepared for that future. And yes, this is an invitation that I'm hoping that you'll see, that if you want to be or to assist or to be a part of our directory, please give us a call. We want to align our work. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Marina. And we'll open up the floor for questions.
Raina, do you mind sharing the link to the directories?
I would be happy to. It is our LACO CTE, but for some reason, I have never been able to talk and do a presentation and chat at the same time.
Me too, me too.
So if you give me a second, I am going to do that right now. So that'll take you to our CTE webpage and where you're able to play with the buttons.
I did have a follow-up question about dual enrollment versus CTE. Curious, for secondary, so those in high school,
Mhm.
are do some of the dual enrollment classes map into the CTE, or are they really considered two separate pathways?
They absolutely map right into it. And I really appreciate that question, because when I first started here, I was shocked when they said, Raina, we want you to be dual enrollment. And in my mind, dual enrollment was, that valedictorian that wanted to get a upper leg and get that extra class so he could be valedictorian, or, accelerated classes. I had to stop and really think about it. And as I started working with so many different community colleges, yes, that is the goal. That is the plan, is how many of these classes it becomes a capstone or the certification piece, making it the completers. So it's a work in progress. It depends on the college and the high school, but they are definitely working together to make that a complete pathway. I was formerly from Norwalk La Mirada Unified School District, and I was just talking to their director, and I know she's working on an automotive EV pathway that will directly be a part of that seamless pathway that they have at the high school with the community college, which would be Cerritos. Good question. Thank you. Any other? I know we're winding down with time here.
Looks like there's a question, a request for another link from you, at least right now, for the registration for May 2nd.
Oh, yes. Let me get that for you. It's like I said, I'm not really good at that link thing, but I definitely will put that in. And I do hope that you can explore the website and at anyone's leisure. Or, let us know. We'd love to put your all your avenues and just your information on our directory. We've been actively pursuing and searching high and low to get everybody, get all the information as much as we can.
And one question I would have for you in regard to the Golden State Pathways program. So as the RTAC, and obviously not every district in LA County received Golden State Pathways funds, but a large number did, and large number received consortium grants. So working with other districts and other community colleges to advance the goals of Golden State Pathways. I was just curious, are there any tools, best practices, or thoughts on building up that type of work through other state funding sources or other opportunities on the regional side that you can think of that would support the goals of Golden State Pathways, which of course are very aligned with the goals of the K-16 Collaborative?
Like I said, I think we're really working hard at how can we grade it, like the CCAP, the CCAP, that is aligning heavily with what the Golden State Pathways. So we're noticing that districts are kind of funding both at the same, getting the funds from both and working on their pathways in that regard. So yes, that is something that's on our forefront that we are really searching out to understand it better and to see how we can work on those fundings for everyone, because we understand that piece as well. You want that $1 million kitchen for the culinary arts, and how are you going to then bring it to the forefront?
And is there any advocacy that the region can do in really getting those extra dollars from the state to do so?
Oh, that one's a toughie. Right now, I think it took us so long to get the Golden State Pathways in place. I think we're just kind of waiting to see what is going to be on the forefront, because right now legislation is very bill heavy, and so as it gets weighed down, then we'll be able to see more of what might be in funding sources. But we're still doing our very best to keep our eye out.
Thank you.
I'm still getting that link. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Raina, put the link in the chat for you. Don't worry.
Oh, Isabel, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yay! My hero. See, this is what I'm talking about. We all go together so well. We can make it all happen. Thank you. Sweet.
Thank you, Reina, and thank you, Dr. Lopez and Rachel, and thank you everyone for joining us today for our community of practice. To close out today, we just have a couple questions for you all. A couple poll questions that we'll launch right now. Should be able to see them on your own screen. Please take a few minutes to answer them. And then that is it for today. We will follow up with materials from today's presentation in an email shortly. Thank you.
Adam, can you stay here for a sec? Is Adam still here?
Yeah.
I just had a question I wanted to ask about that last the last add-on to the question that you asked at the end. So I just recently learned about more and more industry partners using their recruitment funds to sort of support these kinds of funding efforts for high schools and pathways. Just wanted to put that out there, that that's the way that some places are expanding how they can do more at school by getting funding from like recruitment funds from different industry partners. I have no more details besides that, but it's something that I've been helping someone else think about.
No, that's incredibly helpful. If you can provide, I know you have no more details, but if you have examples on folks who are doing that to engage with, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think soon I will have that kind of information, but not currently. But it definitely, when that came up, I was like, how do we diversify the funding? Because to the last point made, the state has put in the last 3 years put out millions of dollars toward this thing. So to ask them for another extra thing would take more time. But to diversify funds needed immediately, that's how some LEAs are sort of approaching their funding at the district level to support schools with these kinds of programs and direct pathways to schools and industry under the guise of recruitment, in quotes.
Yeah, I'd be curious, Quay, to hear specific examples or how successful those efforts are, because in our experience, employers aren't investing early talent pipeline piece, and then often don't even have capacity within their own company to engage in those sorts of educational partnerships. So there's definitely a need for increased investment from employers, but I haven't seen materials yet kind of aimed at that or significant.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And I'll be clear, the partners that I'm working with are all focused on STEM careers, and most of them are Fortune 500 working with NSF directly. So funding is a little bit more what's the word, free for some of these partners. So more like open, and they have this kind of thing, and they have, like, again, not really in that, to your point, they don't really have funding that's allocated for education partnerships, but they put it under the guise of recruitment, with the idea that if we help support build this pathway and give direct student opportunities through these certain institutions, like from your school to this internship type of thing, that it's a worthwhile investment for the company because they're preparing a pipeline. But again, more to come. I'm currently in the midst of that, but Adam's question was like, oh, there are other people thinking about this. Not at all, not necessarily in this region. It's a national work that we're doing, but it is a conversation happening especially in this current landscape, for sure, where government dollars could shrink.
Definitely keep us updated and curious, who they are, because profile on Kaiser last year as one of the a significant healthcare provider who has invested in high school internships, just to talk about like, what does it actually take? And like, what's the staffing required? So if
Yeah.
there's best practice examples that we can then kind of lift up and share with other employers, or create some sort of employer connection where they're learning from other employers on how to do this, that would be really amazing.
Yeah, for sure. This was great. Thank you for inviting me.
Raina, I had a quick follow-up question on the work-based learning directory. When I clicked on, Amber and I were clicking on the page, the first one that says industry sectors.
Uh-huh.
Are
Yeah,
these supposed to be clickable? Like you can click into it?
Yes, that one's still, like I said, it's still in a work in progress. So yes, let me see one that you can go into information and communication technology. That no, that one didn't work.
I'm like, what color is that? Green?
Yeah, give me just because some of them have, we're still, like I said, we're still building it. I thought that one had something in it. Maybe it was the arts and media. Nope. Huh. But we are still, I kind of brought it out kind of early.
It's just going to a Canvas page.
Yeah, it's going to our Canvas page,
Okay.
but the goal is, yes, that by the end of the semester, that every one of those will be filled with the resources.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay, I just didn't know if it was there and I was like,
No.
log in or something. Okay, thank you.
No, not yet. We're still, that's why I said I welcome all the information you want to send our way, so that we could, it was working yesterday. I'm even wondering though. I'm gonna ask our webmaster, because some of the ones I'm clicking on right now, I got to work yesterday as I was practicing, and now it's not. So I'm gonna ask him about that. But that's the goal, that you're gonna, right now we're talking about healthcare. You'll go into healthcare and you'll see. So right now I know that we had added the WIBs and information that was accessible to us, but now we're recruiting and trying to get more information, and we'll just continue to do it. It's a work in progress and kind of a live, just kind of a live project. Thank you.
Thank you all.